Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Akifah Nasution. I'm a student at English Language Education Program, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Islam Riau. Now, I want to explain about my proposal, which is entitled An Analysis of Phonology Between British and American in High School Pronunciation Learning. Chapter 1. Background of the research. In American English, there is pronounced as English for learning. We do not initially distinguish between British or American English. Besides, when collecting data concerning English phonetic and phonology, we have become acquainted with the term Englishes that has been recently and increasingly used among linguists. This paper tries to identify a few aspects of phonological and phonetic dissimilarity between Standard American English and RP English, and to discover whether or not those differences might be viewed as contrastive. The next about identification of the research. Based on the background, this research analyzed about phonology between British and American in high school pronunciation learning. Focus of the research. This study focused on the phonology between English and American in high school pronunciation learning. Research question. The problem of the research formulate as this following question. Number 1. What is the phonological analysis? Number 2. To what extent theories and perspective on students' abilities to distinguish between British and American. Object of the research. The objective of the research. The objective of this study is aimed number 1, to see from phonology in secondary school pronunciation learning. Number 2, to see the reason for difference in English and American in middle school pronunciation learning. The next about significance of the research. This research is expected to provide valuable knowledge for further study, to better understanding between English and American in middle school pronunciation learning. The assumption. Based on the writer's consideration of making assumption, most students still don't know what is the difference between English and American is learning pronunciation. Definition of the key terms. Analysis of the phonology, difference between English and American, and then pronunciation. Theory of the phonetic. There are 3 aspects in phonetic. There are articulatory phonetic, auditory phonetic, and the last is acoustic phonetic. About vowels. Based on the height of talk race, vowels are divided into 3 classifications. They are high vowels, middle vowels, and low vowels. Consonant. According to MC Manghon, a consonant is speech sound that is articulate with complete or article closure of the upper vocal tract. The upper vocal tract being defined as that part of the vocal tract that lies above larynx, the larynx. Next, theory of the phonetic. Here is the phoneme identification or premises. Number one, sound tend to be modified by their environment. Number two, sound system have a tendency toward phonetic symmetry. Number three, sound tend to fluctuate. To the next about grand theory. There are three parts of pronunciation. It is about stress, articulation, and intonation. The methodology of research. The steps of data collection are as following. Number one, searching the different vocabulary and spelling between British and American English in the dictionary. Number two, reading and observing the data vocabulary and spelling carefully. Number three, underlying for the word and spelling which contain difference. Research design. Hopefully, this research can be used as a reference for the teacher who want to teach pronunciation and other writers who want to do similar research in teaching pronunciation, especially for students in English education department. Source of data. Source of data were taken from several journals related to the nation of pronunciation, British and American difference, and other related British and American difference for high school students. Instrument of the research. It means that instrument to tool that used by researcher to collect the data and obtain the information relevant for research project, which are get from object research, sample, or informant. Data analysis technical. According to Prof. Seno, technique of data analysis is the data is purely get from a research object, sample, or informant, and then the data must be processed and analyzed by researcher based on the research method that using. Chapter 2. Review of related literature. This chapter covers the explanation of the related literature and previous studies supporting this study to analyze the data and answer the research question. Pronunciation. Pronunciation is the production of significant sound used by particular language as part of the code of the language and used to achieve meaning in content. They affect each other by mean that in order that the listener can grab the mass of what is said. The speaker have to speak with correct pronunciation by mean the English sound are pronounced correctly. Phonology. It is basically The description of the system and pattern of speech sound in a language concerning with the abstract or mental aspect of the sound in language instead of actual physical articulation of speech sound by Euler. The next about purpose of the phonology. However, although knowing what sound we can in principally make and use is part of understanding what make use human. Each person grow up learning and speaking only a particular human language or language, and each language only make use of a subset of the full range of possible product prod, producible and distinguishable sound. Type of the phonology. According to investor, there are two main types of the phonology process. Number one, whole segment process, and number two, modification type process. The next about the British and American. Related to the phoneme above, the teacher English as a foreign language in Indonesian sound not negate its varieties, especially British and American English, since English language is composed of the two national standard as Randolph Quirk and Sydney Greenbaum say. There are two national standards that are overwhelmingly predominant both in number of dictative use and in the degree to which their distinction are institutionalized. American and British English. About noun, so in British English, collection noun can be followed by both singular or plural verb depending on whether the group in talk of as one idea or as many individuals. For the example, my team is winning. Versi his team are all sitting down. Genitive. For the genitive or possessive, the general rule for using the s genitive in both British and American English is that animate nouns, particularly in the singular, are constructed with the s genitive, as in the girl partners, where other noun are contracted with the of structure, as in the color of my car. The next about articles. The example of the process which require no definite article in British English, member of staff for a British, but in American English there are used with the defined article. Member of the staff American for indefinite on average British, on the average for American. The last about the pronoun. An English will say if one lose one's temper, one should apologize. Will an American will say if one lose his temper, he should apologize. Thus, Englishmen will use the pronoun one for all the times, but American will use the third person pronoun. For the example, in British, whom do you want to see? For the American, who do you want to see? Okay, thank you for your attention. Sorry for mistake. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.